Um, Now we'll just go ahead and segue into the business meeting. This will be a relatively short meeting, I anticipate. We didn't get a lot of items, or we didn't get a lot of requests for items on the agenda. So what I anticipate is I will briefly say just a couple words about the submissions, and then we will see if there are items from the editors of APNC and from the chair of APCS. And then after that, we will open to any new issues that anyone would like to bring up. When we found out that we were going virtual, we got really nervous because we thought that we wouldn't have anybody come. Okay. Much to our surprise, we ended up getting 66 submissions, which rivals what we got last year in Montreal, which had been our most successful APCAM in terms of numbers up to date. So we were very pleased and very encouraged that people were willing to submit to an online virtual version of APCAM. Now, next year, we hope to go back to being in person, but if situation doesn't allow that, we feel much more comfortable and confident that we will be able to have a good virtual APCAM for you. So be it physical or virtual, we'll be back next year in some form, definitely. Okay. I mentioned 66 submissions. We had 18 talks and over 40 posters. If you looked at the numbers closely, you might notice the poster numbers skipped here and there. We did have a couple of submissions after a couple of withdrawals after we put together that program. But we thought that if we renumbered all the posters, if people had downloaded an earlier version, thought they would be an odd number, then all of a sudden they're an even number, that would just cause too much confusion. So we just left those skips in the number sequence. Most of you probably didn't notice it, but if you did, we commend your attention to detail, and we want to talk to you about being on the committee. Okay, those are basically what I have. Before I toss it over to Mike and Mike from APCS, anybody else on the committee want to mention anything? And you don't even have to type it in the chat box. You can just yell it right out.
We also this year decided to waive the registration fee for undergrads. And so I just wanted to report that we had 24 undergrad students who attended today. So I think that's awesome.
Oh yes, that's outstanding. One of our goals is to increase student involvement, both in the conference and in the discipline. And waiving the fees for the undergraduates certainly seems to be a good step in that direction. So yes, thank you for bringing that up, Laura. Okay. Michael Hall and Mike Russell, are y'all on?
We're both here.
Would you like to say anything about APS or sorry, APNC?
Sure, I'll start, and Mike Russell can fill in all my missing details and correct me as necessary. So the couple big things. One is that you saw this year we're having the brief reports connected to the meeting. The response has been really good to that for a first time with not a lot of lead time on rolling that out. We had something like 40 different sets of authors that are going to be submitting brief reports, so that should lead to a lot of stuff showing up in the journal even after reviews are done and some stuff doesn't get through. So I think this will be really good for highlighting the work at the conference and preserve some of that stuff. So I'm pleased with that. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm very displeased with submission for regular full-length papers from members of APCS. We've implored now several times through the conference, and unfortunately several of those calls came right at the end of the conference in the business meeting when half of the people had already left at the end of the day, right? So we already had our attrition. Yeah. But what's translated for us in terms of what we're seeing in submissions is basically we're getting a trickle here and there from the few people that can hear about APNC at this point who aren't members, and very few APCS members that are contributing. So when we set this up, the expectation was going to be that for the first few years until the journal got indexed, that the APCS members were going to carry things. And at this point, they're not doing it. So the first volume, the journal started late because we had no backlog of manuscripts. So we lost 6 months on the first volume, right? And so we've been maintaining that now, and we're in the process of this volume. Mike Russell and I plan on shaving off half of that time, and the next volume shaving off the other half so that we're completely caught up in the publishing year. The reason why this is critical is that they will not consider indexing until we're on that regular year schedule. And so this is where the APCS members could make our job with that really easy. So I mentioned to you people, it's preaching to the choir, but you people are the most likely to submit. So if you have something, I'd say send it to us. But it's also imperative that all of us reach out to a couple of friends and get them to submit one thing. If everybody here submitted one thing, we would be, having the proper backlog of manuscripts, and all of this would be resolved. The journal would be indexed, and the pressure would be taken off of members in order to carry the weight, right? So the formula is simple. We just, as a group, we need to end up making that happen.
Yeah, you might not have heard it, but this morning in the welcoming comments, for example, I mentioned.
Oh, I heard it.
APNC.
I loved it too.
Okay, and I explicitly encouraged other auditory work to be submitted. So we've kind of bookended it at least. It's not just at the very end, but we got them at the very end and at the very beginning. But your points are well taken, and yes, we'll all try to encourage more submissions, both from ourselves and our colleagues.
Yeah, Mike can back me up on this. I immediately sent him a little text message in the chat saying, "Hey, nice plug from Tim."
And you didn't even have to ask me to this time.
Yeah, even better.
Okay, Mike Russell, you want to fill in anything?
The only thing I want to say is thank you for all of those of you who were going to be submitting a brief report. I've got your email, so I will hound you. And I sent you an email yesterday. Michael and I were talking about this idea about we need reviewers for these brief reports, with the idea if you submit one, review one kind of thing. So I sent you an email last night, and 6 of you have completed it. Well, no, 5 of you. I'm the 6th. I understand I sent it last night and you guys are really busy. So if you can get to it sometime like in the next week or so, it'll be great.
Okay.
If not, I'll just annoy you again. So.
When you say you, is that the APCAM mailing list you're referring to? Or?
People who said that they were going to be submitting brief reports.
Oh, okay, so just the people who are going to be submitting. Okay.
Yep. So that's all I've got. So thank you, everyone. Thank you again, the organizing committee. Wonderful job. Fantastic.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, John Newhoff, are you on, and do you want to say anything about APCS?
First of all, I want to thank Tim and Laura and the rest of the committee for doing such a great job. And also say that it's really nice to see all of you again, even though it's in this kind of format. The one announcement that I have is please, please, please submit your nominations for our open at-large positions on the board. I sent an email, a mass email to about 500 people the other day, some maybe current members, some not. As of right now, we have 2 people who have submitted nominations, and I was one of them. So, so please submit your nominations for our open board positions.
Okay, good. Sarah, I see that you're on. Do you have Treasury types of information for us?
I do have Treasury types of information. It's actually pretty good information. We had a bit of a balance coming into this year, positive balance, so that's good. In terms of revenues this year, we have 98 new members. So that's not quite 98 times $30 a piece. It's actually a bit less than that because PayPal takes a little off the top. Our expenses this year were a $2,500 payment to Taylor and Francis, as agreed upon. Fun wrinkle, they asked for another $2,500 about a month later, but Michael and I have cleared this up, we think, and that's actually going to be due around April, I believe. So what is our current balance? So in the BB&T account, and I probably doesn't make any sense to split up what's in PayPal and what's in BB&T, but the total amount that we have as of about 45 minutes ago is $4,690.36. So we are all set for the next upcoming Taylor and Francis payment. And you know, nobody go out and buy a Ferrari, but I think we're actually in pretty good in pretty good shape for now.
Okay, very good. Okay.
And I do have a question though about what are we going to continue? Is it going to continue to be the case that we're paying Taylor and Francis $2,500? Because I thought that at some point that was going to, I had stuck in my head somewhere this at some point that was going to go up. If not, awesome. But if it does, then I think we want to plan ahead.
Michael or Mike have an answer to that?
I don't have a definitive answer. I will say that that it would end up being based upon, you know, once the journal is kind of more established. So this would be a post-indexing thing. I don't think they're gonna do anything to change the parameters of our agreement really until then. I would expect we're probably good for another, you know, another 2 or 3 years before we'd have to end up worrying about it.
Cool. Very good. By the way, just this is ginger ale, in case anyone was wondering. I realized the bottle wasn't showing up very well.
I feel like I'm just disappointed now.
Yeah, I know.
Just
Lame, right?
right there.
Yeah.
It's only 2 o'clock.
This is tequila.
On the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So
Yeah, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
I was going to say, so that extra money that we have left over after we pay for the next issue, that's like the next round is on us in San Diego.
Sure.
Sarah will pay the bill.
Yeah. So does anyone have any questions for me?
okay, well, thank you
any
for
bills to tell me about? I know there's typically a little bit associated with the conference itself. I think last time it was name badges. Well, no name badges this year, huh?
So no expenses.
Well,
Yeah,
that's one plus.
if there are going to be expenses, they haven't let us know about it yet. So I don't think we have any expenses this year. If we do,
Okay.
you'll be the first I tell.
All right.
Okay, that's the sort of old business, as it were. Is there any new business, new issues, questions, suggestions that anyone would like to raise? And you don't have to tap it or type it in the chat box. Okay. I'll give it another moment.
Can I just throw out maybe
Sure.
kind of collecting items for a newsletter? So some of the things that we'd want membership generally to be aware of and to work on going forward or to expect as kind of upcoming. Maybe we could accumulate a decent sized newsletter this time to kind of keep in their mind.
I think we had a newsletter at one point where we had talked about it. Who
We
was
had
in
one
charge of the
newsletter.
newsletter? Okay. Okay. I will let, Michael, I'll let you and John kind of hash that out if you'd like. Between
We do
yourselves,
have another
not,
question. I see a hand going up and down periodically. Just jump right in.
So a lot
Oh,
of journals
sorry.
have put out special issues on science during the pandemic and how hard it is to do research. I think that's a very timely topic for our group too. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if you can put together, you already have trouble filling the regular issues, but I feel like you might get a lot of traction because it's frustrating to be a researcher in the pandemic pretty much we have lost like months and months and done nothing. So this would be something that you might get some traction on. I was wondering what you thought about that. Thank you.
Michael and Mike.
Pertinent to
Yeah,
that, one APCAM or our society specific thing is, we're looking a lot at headphone models and the problem with everyone having different headphones. So like, I think that's a great point about researching the pandemic, and that's something we're sort of uniquely positioned to do. So we've been trying to track that from experiments, just when people complete something, fill that out. So, if we all do that, we have some sense of what people are using for headphones out there, and that could be an easy, short thing.
would it be worth putting together a call for papers on that topic?
I have a paper I could write on it right now.
Yeah, I will take that as a yes. So, okay, yeah, and my call for papers, not just on the headphone issue, but the more general kind of issue that Shri brought up about difficulty during the pandemic, because I think it's something that we're all empathizing with at some level. Shri, I was actually not on the right view to see you waving your hand earlier, so I apologize for not immediately going to you when I saw that you wanted to say something. Okay. Does anybody else have a comment? And if so, and if you wave big. Okay, then we've done it. AdCam 2020 is finished and a success. We thank all of you for coming, for your efforts, for helping us do this.
Thanks, Tim.
Quite sure what to add beyond that, but thank you.
Thank you all. Nice to see you again.
Good to
Now
see
we
you
all
all.
head to the bar, right?
Take care, everyone.
The virtual
It was already
bar,
there.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.